Let's talk about Arcane.
There's a monster inside all of us.
In the pursuit of great, we fail to do good.
You've got a good heart. Don't ever lose it.
Are we still sisters?
It's a TV show, a very good TV show. In fact, I'd go so far as to call it the single best entertainment product ever created by Riot Games. Which, I mean, is kinda like being told you're the best smelling guy at an LCS match, but a win is a win, especially when it comes to this company. In fact, Arcane is so good that I would say it's the only time in my life I've ever been excited to hear an Imagine Dragons song, which is really saying something. I wanted to play a clip of it for a joke, but I'm pretty sure if I do, Concord Music Publishing will hire a dark web assassin to break into my house.
The only thing I remember from Arcane was, "Oh, the misery! Every single person is my enemy!" and the song goes, "I'm radioactive, radioactive, every single person is my enemy."
But what is it about Arcane that makes it so good? The animation, the writing, the absolutely phenomenal world building? Sure, I mean, it certainly has all of those things, but I think the most important aspect of any TV series is to have a strong cast of characters. And oh boy, does Arcane. To be completely honest with you, there isn't a single character in this show that I don't like, which is very high praise. But of all the citizens in Piltover and Zaun, to me, one stands above the rest.
Skip. But when does this game get fucking good?
I love Silco. In a series chock full of awesome characters, I think he's the best. And in this video, I'm gonna explain why. Also, I'm gonna err on the side of caution and put a spoiler warning here. If you're one of the 5 people on YouTube who hasn't seen Arcane but still gets recommended this video, you should go watch the show right now before you hear what I'm about to say. This is your last chance. Seriously, go watch it. At least watch season 1. I'll wait. I'm not going anywhere, I'm just hanging out. This video will be split into 2 parts. The first will focus primarily on season 1, explaining why Silco's character was so great and how much of a major role he played in making the first season so memorable. The second section will focus on season 2 and how the show suffers as it tries to fill the gap left behind once he's gone. So I hope you took that spoiler warning seriously, because we're about to get into it. So you've seen this video's title, and I know what you're gonna say. What about Heimerdinger? Shit, that's a good point. I think that great stories need great villains. I'm not gonna bore you with some creative writing 101 class, but suffice to say that without a good villain, the hero's journey doesn't really mean anything, because they didn't overcome a significant obstacle. And as far as villains in recent memory go, I think that Silco sits pretty close to the top of the pile. But Silco is more than just a good villain. I would argue he's actually the foundation that the entire story is built on. If you were to take him out of the equation, everything in Arcane's story falls apart. Vander's death, which rips Vi and Powder apart forever? That's Silco. Caitlyn's disillusionment with Piltover's corrupt system, forcing her into the Undercity and leading to her forming a relationship with Vi?
You know, let's say I actually, was a Lebanon. What? And let's say I did like you.
What the fuck is happening?
Would you, like me back? Theoretically, of course.
Yeah, that's because of Silco. Jinx's slow, painful descent into madness, again, Silco. I could keep going, but I'm sure you're starting to get the point. Almost every major event in Arcane's first season traces back to him in some way, and I think that's why he feels like such a significant character. Arcane's first season just couldn't happen without Silco. He's the catalyst for almost everything that happens. A character that is this important needs a killer performance to sell him, and holy shit does Jason Spizik deliver.
Betrayal. That pain that feels like it'll eat you from the inside out can either break you or forge you into something greater.
Every word Silco speaks comes out in this whiskey-soaked rasp. He's got this slow, deliberate pull that drags you in and just refuses to let go.
I don't need favors. I need you to do your job. We've accomplished a lot together, Marcus. Sheriff, and there is more yet to achieve. I hope you can remain a part of it.
As soon as this guy starts talking, you immediately understand this is not a man you want to owe anything to. In my experience, most crime kingpin type characters are brash, gruff, and physically intimidating. You expect a mob boss to be somebody who storms into a room, smashes a bottle over someone's head, and makes clear showings of dominance.
Hey, want some sample with this? Oh, you're making a big fucking...
But that's not Silco. Silco is soft-spoken, he's articulate, a lot of the time he's actually reasonable. His entire presence is corrupting. He doesn't demand respect, he infects you with the idea that he actually deserves it. And yet, this is the same man who shows up in your daughter's bedroom after you've been slacking in your responsibilities as a corrupt cop. After all,
accidents happen.
Silco is pretty much always in control. In nearly every scene, he's the one in charge, commanding the room with nothing but his voice and his presence and his thinly veiled threats. He's the kind of villain who doesn't panic, he doesn't sweat, he just waits, knowing things are always gonna go his way. Except for that one time. One of the only moments where he isn't the boss of everybody around him is when Finn, whose name I had to Google as Arcane Lighter Guy, comes into Silco's office to betray him. To quickly summarize, the events of this season have led to decreased profits for all of Silco's underbosses, known as the Chem Barons. This now means Finn sees Silco as weakened and he wants to overthrow him and take his place. Prior to this scene, he spoke with Sevica, Silco's most loyal henchman, to try and get her to be the one who kills him. The other Chem Baron lady is also in on the coup out of revenge because her son was recently killed defending one of Silco's shimmer factories. So in this scene, as far as Silco knows, it very likely could be 3-1. We actually get to see Silco gamble on what's about to happen. You can tell by his face afterwards that he was like 50-50 if he actually had that in the bag or not. But then, the arrogance returns, the voice steadies, and he looks down at Finn's corpse like it was never even a question.
I would have had your son killed for this, though I suppose we're ahead on that account.
But we, the viewers, got to see it on Silco's face. He wasn't sure. He was pretty sure, but there was still a chance he'd miscalculated on what was going to happen. This is a rare moment where we, the viewer, get reminded that Silco's just a man. He doesn't have any magic powers and he doesn't have brute strength. He's made his way to the top through nothing but cunning and sheer force of will. If you've seen Arcane already, then I don't need to tell you that Silco's relationship with Jinx is the emotional core of his character. While in a lesser series we might have seen him just manipulate her and use her as a tool, the writing in this show doesn't take the easy way. I think that the main reason for the depth in their relationship is that Silco sees a kindred spirit in Jinx, and that's why he accepts her and loves her as his daughter. Jinx was abandoned by Vi, just like Silco was abandoned by Vander. Both of them were made into the people they are today by betrayal and pain. Both of them were left behind by the people that they trusted the most. I think that's why Silco clings to Jinx so fiercely. To him, she's the only person in the world who understands how he feels.
We'll show them. We will show them all.
But their relationship is deeply, deeply unhealthy. Silco needs Jinx for practical reasons, her genius, her inventions, and her sheer destructive power. So he isolates her to keep her safe and makes her dependent on him so she'll always do what he wants. But at the same time, he refuses to punish her when she makes mistakes. He gives her special treatment. He coddles her in a way that a real leader never would. Instead of giving Jinx a chance to heal from all the terrible shit that happened to her when she was a kid, Silco actually makes her worse, convincing her that their sick father-daughter relationship is the only thing that matters as they move forwards.
Have you forgotten how she left you? Who found you? Who cared for you, gave you a home? I am your family. Everyone else betrays us.
And the biggest threat to that relationship is Vi. Vi is the only person who can undo everything that Silco has built up to this point. She's the only person who can remind Jinx of the girl she used to be. That's why we see Silco fight so hard to keep them apart. And when Vi does manage to slip away from him, he completely snaps. This is Silco realizing that for all of his control and all of his influence, he could still lose Jinx. When she's wounded and left in critical condition following her fight with Echo, Silco's reaction to Jinx here speaks volumes. The moment she's hurt, all of his composure vanishes. He rushes her to the lab, frantic, desperate, willing to do anything to save her. This isn't a crime boss protecting his best asset. This is a father fearing for his child's life. Their relationship is twisted and it's unhealthy, but it's so incredibly compelling. If there's one relationship that defines Silco outside of Jinx, it's Vander. In a sense, Vander created Silco in much the same way that Vi created Jinx. Both of these characters were forever changed because of betrayal and abandonment. Once, Silco and Vander were brothers in arms, fighting for Zaun's freedom against Piltover's oppression. But when the human cost of their revolution grew too high, Vander gave up on the fight, turning on Silco and nearly killing him in the fight that followed between them. It's very clear that Silco hates Vander for this and considers him weak for not being able to stomach the cost of leading Zaun into a new golden age. What's a few lives weighed against such a great victory?
You'll get people killed. For what? Pride?
For respect. Opportunity.
This attitude carries Silco far. So far, in fact, that he's eventually parlaying with Jace for Zaun's independence, which is the one thing that his whole life has been spent working towards. Jace only asks for one thing in return: Jinx. At this point, Jinx is completely off the rails. She's a total loose cannon with shimmer for blood that Silco can't even control. As a matter of fact, giving her up would probably make his life a lot easier. It's the logical thing to do. And so we come to the big scene. If you love Silco the way that I do, you know that this is the money shot. This is the scene that makes or breaks Silco's entire character. It's how he responds to the most difficult decision that this season is going to throw at him. So I'm just going to let the whole thing play out here.
1,000 times I've imagined this moment. Never like this. All we ever wanted. The boy didn't even haggle. Oh, it all makes sense now, brother. Is there anything so undoing as a daughter?
This man is about to accomplish everything that he's ever wanted, and he can't do it. As sick as their relationship may be, Jinx is still his daughter. He can't give her up. He's spent year after year cursing Vander for choosing family over revolution and being so weak. But now, standing on the precipice of everything that he's ever wanted, he realizes in this moment that he's about to do the exact same thing. And that, my friends, is how you write a fucking character arc. Silco's last scene is the dining room table. Here we see Jinx at her absolute breaking point. She's spent the entire season torn between the two people who mean the most to her: Vi, the sister who abandoned her, and Silco, the man that raised her in the aftermath. And in this moment, she forces both of them into an impossible situation. It's a final, deranged family dinner where someone is going to die. The difference between Vi and Silco here is that Vi wants Powder to change and heal, while Silco wants her to stay the same. As Vi starts to win Jinx over, Silco snaps. The compromised, calculating crime lord is gone. He grabs the gun on the table, ready to eliminate the one person that could take Jinx away from him forever. But in that moment, Jinx kills him to protect her sister out of instinct. And just like that, the only father Jinx has ever known is bleeding to death in front of her. And this is how you get to cash in on such a well-developed relationship and character. You get to make a lot of people cry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I never would have given you to them. Not for anything. Don't cry. You're perfect.
I'm gonna be honest here. I don't think Season 2 is as good as Season 1. And while that's not entirely because the best character in the show is now dead, I still think it's a factor. To be clear, Season 2 isn't bad. In fact, for most shows, hitting the highs of Arcane's second season would be a crowning achievement. Episode 7, Pretend Like It's the First Time, in particular, is a standout, and it's probably the strongest episode of the whole season for me.
Shorty a little patty, she my little boo thing.
But the problem is, Arcane already set the bar so absurdly high with Season 1 that the issues here are impossible to ignore. I think the best way to describe Arcane's second season would be a show cracking under the weight of its own ambition. It's trying to do so much in such a limited amount of time. I really think that if Fortish and Riot were dead set on only making 2 seasons, they really should have made this one 12 episodes instead of 9, or cut something out, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I said earlier that I think a great story needs a great villain, and the absence of Silco leaves a massive hole, not just in the writing, but in the world itself. Zahn collapses into a power vacuum the second he's gone. This leads to a massive turf war as the remaining Chem Barons turn on each other, trying to seize control of the Undercity. For all the problems Silco caused with Shimmer and corruption, he was at least holding everything together. With him dead, Zahn is now leaderless. Here Arcane is asking us if sometimes the devil we know is better than the devil we don't. Jinx is also left fatherless for a 3rd time, making her the most relatable character to American viewers. Now, to be clear, I actually really like all of this. It's a fun way to explore the consequences of losing someone like Silco, who was so important to Arcane's world. But the writing does have a major hurdle to overcome in Season 2, because who's supposed to be the new villain? Jinx just isn't cut out for it. She's way too sympathetic. It's clear as soon as she meets this kid and inspires a revolution that the writers don't want us to hate Jinx for being some kind of psychotic terrorist. In this season, we're now supposed to root for her as a troubled anti-hero on a path to redemption. There's been complaints online about how people wanted Jinx to actually lead the revolution instead of hiding away playing with her bugs in the garage, but I think that desire stems from wanting the show to commit harder to a rah-rah, fight-the-power anti-capitalism message, and to that I would say, did you guys, forget who was paying for this show? I mean, come on. So now you might be thinking that Victor is the obvious next choice for Season 2's villain, but I disagree. I think Victor is certainly one of the antagonists for this season, especially by the end, but he's more like a force of nature than an actual villain for our heroes to overcome. No, in terms of a real main villain and final boss for this season, we've got Ambessa Medarda, and sadly, she comes up short. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Ambessa. When she was introduced in Season 1 as Mel's mother, she instantly made Arcane's world feel bigger. She was brutal, cunning, and completely unfazed by Piltover's high society. She had so much presence on screen, and it really felt like she mattered. It also made the stakes feel a lot higher now that this badass warlord has shown up in Piltover. Her reveal also deepens Mel's character significantly by fleshing out her own backstory. You can see the parallels in how she tries to manipulate Jace in a similar way to how Mel does, pushing him to create hex-tech weapons that she can one day use for Noxus and her own wars, like mother like daughter. She's a great addition to Season 1's cast. That said, I do have one burning question. What happened to her pet Twink? This guy doesn't show up once in Season 2. My personal running theory is that Ambessa ate him for protein. As Season 2 gets rolling, it seems like Ambessa and Silco are 2 sides of the same coin. Both characters are controlling, manipulative, and intimidating. They're both highly respected leaders, and both of them are obsessed with power. But it's in the motivation for that power that the differences become clear. As we established earlier, Silco uses the power he amassed through Shimmer to try and allow Zahn to escape from under Piltover's boot and gain its own independence, hopefully leading to better lives for everyone still living in the Undercity. His methods were certainly extreme, but there was still a sliver of nobility to his goals. Ambessa, in contrast, seeks power to protect what's left of her family from the Black Rose, a cult of mages responsible for killing her son Kino, Mel's brother. Or at least, that's what she says. We find out as Season 2 goes on that that was a lie, at least partially. Mel's brother really was killed by the Black Rose, but not for the reasons we're led to believe. The beef with the Black Rose is revealed to be Ambessa's fault, and so is the death of her son by extension. Mel ends up being Ambessa's illegitimate child, whose father is an unknown mage. Because of this, Mel has great latent magic potential, making her suddenly very powerful. And a quick side note, I think that Mel being physically powerful now kind of cheapens her character a bit, since the whole thing in Season 1 was that she was at the top of Piltover society through pure cunning and merit, but I mean, that's a whole other video, don't worry about it. It's never explicitly stated if Mel was born purely out of Ambessa wanting a weapon that could combat the Black Rose, but if that were confirmed, it wouldn't surprise me. Now, it's still clear that Ambessa really does love Mel as a daughter, but at the end of the day, her feud with the Black Rose is the most important thing to her. Nothing Mel says or does can dissuade her from continuing her arms race against them.
Piltover has nothing to do with your feud. Board your boats. Leave our shores. I will join you. We can avenge Kino together.
This is more than vengeance, child. These mages dangle over our heads a sword that impales us should we rise too high.
And I think this kind of sucks. her motivation goes from, I need Hex Tech to protect our family from the people who killed your brother, to now being, okay, it was my fault that your brother died, but I'm still gonna continue this war even if it destroys Piltover and everything you love. Not even out of revenge, but just because I can't allow someone else to hold power over me. It's important to emphasize that this is not a character arc either. It's just the audience developing a deeper understanding of her real motivations as the story goes on and more gets revealed. As a matter of fact, throughout Season 2, Ambessa doesn't really change or develop at all. She's remarkably static in a series where everybody else changes and grows so much. Now, might makes right isn't necessarily a bad motivation for a character, especially for an antagonist. In fact, it's the motivation of who I would argue is one of the best characters in all of fiction. And the final battle with her is pretty badass, as she's nearly able to decimate both Mel and Caitlyn at the same time, thanks to her power-hungry philosophy leading her to become so dangerous over the course of her life. I also really love this lecture that she gives Caitlyn while they're training.
Absent honor. Absent accountability. Remember this, Caitlyn. Tunnels in your eyes. Lava in your veins. Shadows in your heart. This is the truth of combat.
This little spiel is a lot like some of the stuff in Sun Tzu's Art of War. You know, all warfare is based on deception, attack an enemy where he is weak, avoid him where he is strong, a mosquito landing on your testicles will teach you the value of solving confrontation without violence, that kind of thing. It's nice to see Ambessa display some philosophy that actually sounds like a real military leader, since later on in the season we get to see her put this exact concept into action by tricking Caitlyn's forces into believing that she has Victor inside the shell, which allows him to sneak into Piltover unopposed. Ambessa, being this great war leader who has managed to almost reach her twilight years in a place as violent and dangerous as Noxus, makes me think of the expression, beware an old man in a profession where men usually die young. I really want to reiterate myself here that if I wasn't holding the show up to the standards of Season 1, I think she'd be a perfectly fine villain for this series. The real nail in the coffin is when we bring things back and compare her to Silco. In a lot of ways, she feels like less of a successor and more of a pale imitation. Silco wanted independence for Zaun, something bigger than himself, and he was willing to give all that up for someone he loved. By comparison, Ambessa is just a warmonger who wants to win her pissing match with the Black Rose, that's it. If you directly compare the two, she's a downgrade in pretty much every way. So where does that leave us? I wouldn't say I hate or even particularly dislike Ambessa or Season 2. It's more like I'm just disappointed in them. It's kind of like if my kid who used to get straight A's started skipping class and smoking cigarettes. It's not the worst thing in the world, but I know we could do so much better. And I think that sums up my feelings on Season 2 perfectly. I think I just expected better. Anyways, I'm hoping that the rumors about the spin-off series being set in Noxus are true, since that means my favorite character in the franchise will be getting some more screen time. But yeah, that's it. Silco is still Arcane's best character. I'm Elephant Steak, thank you so much for watching. More videos on the way, so stay tuned.